Welcome back to another edition of the Blue Review. I'm Parker Bell alongside Marcus Grant. He is here with us today, and Greg Bergman. Yesterday it felt weird. We had a live edition of the Blue Review. How'd you feel that went, Greg? You were
That was
live on air with Sedano and Cap.
Yeah, it went. I just will leave it right there. It went. Yeah. This works better in this situation like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because both the guys, Sedano and Cap, were just like sitting off to the side, like looking into their computer screens and not paying attention to it. Cappy was making jokes and not actually getting into the actual content of the Dodgers.
Yeah, Cappy wanted to run a Brown review.
For Padres fans.
What would they call it? They call it like the Brown get down or something? Like what would they?
Oh, that's don't give me ideas.
Forget that I said that. Scratch that from the record.
That's actually a pretty good name.
The Brown get down. Yeah.
That's funny.
Scott Kaplan and Alan Slee. Well, anyways, enough about the gutty little Padres. Yesterday, the Dodgers got the win. Mookie went 5 for 5, and just the bullpen had a successful bullpen game. So we're going to get into a lot of those. Andy Pott has his debut and some more. But before we do so, of course, I just would like to remind everyone that the Blue Review is presented by LAX, and our friends at the Los Angeles International Airport are changing the just travel experience daily. They're reducing traffic, saving guest time, and changing things for the traveler. So to find out more, go ahead and head over to flyalx.com/transforminglAX. So Greg, where did you want to start today? We kind of had just a good overall game, and there's a lot to get to.
So I'm just going to start here really quick, and then we'll get into the game. I know there's some things that came out about someone that I can't speak about, and so just making it known once again, no matter what, that name is never going to be spoken on this show. I was going to say radio show. It's kind of more of a live stream. It will never be talked about on this live stream. So no need to even bring it up in the chat. No need to even bring it up at all. I will never, ever, ever acknowledge it. So moving forward, we can get directly into the game.
Moving on.
Mookie Betts was amazing.
Yep.
I think Mookie Betts was absolutely amazing. And the fact that he went 5 for 5 with multiple RBIs, I think it was the last time I saw a stat. And there's no way I can give you 100 guesses and you'll never guess who the last person to go 5 for 5 with multiple RBIs in a game is. So how about one guess?
It was like the last time a Dodger did it, right?
Last time a Dodger did it, yeah. Just think really random old school.
It's going to be like, Wilton Guerrero.
Oh, that's a really good guess. No, you got one, Parker?
Bobby Abreu.
No, it was Cesar Torres.
I literally almost said that name too. I really did.
Should have gone with your gut.
Should have gone with my gut. Wow.
Yeah, it was Cesar Torres, and I think it was 2003, which is just amazing stat. Because no way, here it is, Sarah Langs. 5 for 5 or better with multiple RBIs. Dodgers as middle infielders. As middle infielders.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. RBI official since 1920. Today, Mookie Betts 9803 Cesar Torres.
Wow.
I didn't even realize.
I'm just trying to think of all the middle infielders. You think Seager didn't do it?
Jeff Kent when he was here
didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's
Nomar.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Had to be Cesar.
Rafael Furcal was a guy that actually did get a lot of hits, so that could have been something.
Even like a weird Alex Cora game in there somewhere.
Right. He has the 18 pitch game, so
why not that too?
Why can't he? So wow. It's just wild. I saw that from Sarah, who, by the way, I did DM, but she hasn't gotten back to me. So I'll see if she at some point wants to come on, if she gets back to me.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, hey, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's it's funny. We watch Mookie every day, and every day he does something that reminds you, like, this guy's really good at what he does. And that the fact that defensively he's getting better. There's still some speed bumps every once in a while, which is to be expected. But I think defensively he's getting better, and whatever is happening in the field is not affecting him at the plate whatsoever. it's just wild. And he really has been a great table setter for this offense, which has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, at the top of the lineup, just the way he's been on fire through all of spring into now. Like when he comes up, you're like, this guy's going to get on base. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to get on base. He's swinging at pitches that are like out of the zone and just knocking them into right field. He's on a complete tear right now. He's also leading the team in in home runs. He's tied for RBIs. He's just the dominant player on the team right now. It's great to see.
Yeah, 388. I think it's 18 RBIs, 31 hits. There's no other way to put it. I mean, he's got to be in the lead for the MVP race right now. I know there's a couple other guys around the league who are somewhat hot, but there's nobody on Mookie's level right now. So we'll see how long this can continue. And I'm happy to be along for the ride.
Yeah. He also has more walks than strikeouts. So,
it's ridiculous.
Amazing. I'm going through he leads the league in batting average. Like the majors, leads a batting average in WAR 2.2. That's insane.
Already? 20 games in, you have a 2.2 WAR.
Batting average. Let's see. Runs scored. He leads in total bases. He leads in hits. What I think like one back of the leaders for home runs. Tied for the lead in walks. It's crazy what he's done so far.
Yeah, he's been amazing. That top three, I mean, you can't say enough about that top three because so another guy like Freddie Freeman has 12 walks already.
3 yesterday, I think.
Yeah, 3 yesterday. Shohei is still, despite the fact of some issues with the runners in scoring position, which I'm sure we're going to talk about at some point, he still has an over 1,000 OPS. He's doing everything, and he also I think leads the league in doubles because he has 10. He has 10 in 20 games.
Yeah.
Now, if he could do it when there's a guy on second base, that would be a little bit better. But
that'd be great.
Mookie's just hitting too many dingers, so he's never on base for him. And the bottom of the lineup can't get on base.
No, yeah, well, that's a problem.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
God, I mean, we just hit like 2 different major topics to talk about. What do you want to do first? Bottom of the lineup or Shohei with runners in scoring position? We can go either way.
I mean, we can talk Shohei. Like, I'm kind of with you, though. I don't think this is going to be an enduring problem. I think this is a right now sort of issue, especially because he's going to get plenty of opportunities with guys on base, like the way he's hitting, the way he has hit in his career, the way he can hit. This just feels like a thing that's sort of happening right now. It would be nice. Now, I guess it sort of dovetails into the other thing with the guys at the bottom of the lineup not getting on base, because that would increase his chances to hit with men in scoring position, because as great as Mookie is, it seems a lot to ask him to always be the guy that gets driven in. So you need those guys in the 8-9 hole to get on base, to kind of put pressure on pitchers as we get back to the top of the lineup. So I'm not really worried about Shohei, but things 7, 8, 9 things with the outfield, those are things that I think really need to get a hard look right now.
Yeah, it's Shohei's absolutely gonna be fine. I think he has a career batting average with runners in scoring position just under 300. I think it was like 286 or something like that. So it's going to come around. That's going to happen. It was kind of like when he was looking for that first home run. He was pressing for that first home run. It seems like he's again pressing right now, trying to get that hit with someone in scoring position, because he's swinging at 3 times. He had a runner in scoring position last night, and he swung at the first pitch on all 3 of those. So he's trying to just bring in those runs as much as possible and get off the schneid like he did with the home runs. But he's gonna be just fine.
Does it feel like he's trying to earn the whole contract in 1 year? Like trying to decide in 1 year, maybe even 1 month, that he is worth that whole contract, which I think most Dodger fans are like, hey man, you got cred right now. You got credit in the bank right now. Like, you don't have to, it'd be great if you came out and you had, 8 home runs and 25 RBIs in the first, but I don't think anybody's really freaking out that this was a bad deal so far with Shohei Ohtani, but it does feel like he's really trying to justify all of this right now.
Yeah,
it could
probably
be to his teammates too. Not necessarily just the contract, but it could be that he's just trying to win everybody over, and he's extremely aggressive. And Dave, I think, mentioned it to your point, Greg. He said, we'll temper that back. We'll address it. And they've been good at that so far. That rapport between him and Ohtani, between Dave and Ohtani, has been really good. Ohtani has actually said that Dave is the one who's helped him kind of calm down. So, I mean, even though he is in that moment right now where he's hitting 53 average, 0.53 with runners in scoring position. Yeah, we're not worried at all. I mean, he's Shohei Ohtani, and as Dave said, he's unflappable.
Yeah, but he's talking about that too with the Ipe stuff.
Outside stuff.
Yeah, he's talking about the Ipe, which is, again, that's something that he has to prove to his teammates and to a lot of people as well. I don't think once he gets onto the field, I've said it before, I think he's just thinking about baseball, but there's probably some sort of sense of that in the back of his mind that he has to prove like, hey, get everybody back on, like, this is me. I'm just playing baseball. Don't even think about any of that stuff over there. I was exonerated pretty much, and just worry about how I am on the field. And so he's pressing just a slight bit. So it's all going to go away. The main problem is, as Marcus was getting to, the bottom of the lineup has been so bad, and we're not getting on base. And now another game where Chris Taylor had just an absolute disaster of a game where he couldn't. I mean, he finally got on base through a walk where he swung at a 3-0 pitch that was in the dirt, which is like, just get on base, man. Don't even think about that at the end when he finally, and then he got chased out because he got picked off. It's like, come on,
right,
bro, relax.
So as we were coming up, I was telling you guys, I'm reading an article right now on Fangraphs about how the Dodger outfield, generally speaking, has been pretty bad this year. That offensively, they're not providing much of anything. Defensively, they're still sort of shaky. And one of the things they talk about was Chris Taylor, and still sort of this belief that just based on history that he's going to turn things around, and the fact that, historically he's a guy who will chase pitches, but it seems like this year he really is swinging at strikes. He's just missing them, and so I think the attitude is, it's hard to believe he will continue to be this bad as long as he continues to swing at strikes. But it's been bad so far this year.
So, I mean, to put in perspective, he has 18 strikeouts in 35 at bats. He's striking out over half the time he's at the plate. It's a problem. I think yesterday, Oro was talking about, or not yesterday, but he has talked about in the past, especially for Chris Taylor, that you have to get to that 100 at bat mark. I mean, I don't know if I can get to 1 for 100 before because I get it. He's a streaky. He's great in the playoffs. He finds ways to come through in the playoffs. But if he doesn't start coming through soon, it just means that he's past his time. He can't catch up to major league hitting anymore. Maybe it's just time for something to happen. I'll give him a little bit more time because of who he is and what he's meant to this team. But I mean, at some point, you just got to sit the dude, DFA the dude, because you can't send him to the minors. It's done. You either DFA him or you let him sit there toiling away, because Kike is playing 1,000 times better and he's not even playing that well.
I was gonna say, like, he's not even playing. I mean, he hit the home run. He hit the home run last night, but he's not really hitting the ball all that much either. But you're right. He is light years ahead of where Chris Taylor is at this moment.
Yeah, because at least he can play. He's playing a good defensive game as well. Like, you can put him at almost any position on the field. You can put him in the infield. You can have him at all 3 outfield positions. You can do a lot with Kike Hernandez and feel comfortable defensively. I feel comfortable defensively with Taylor in left field, but I don't know if I feel good with him on the infield anymore. He could play it before, but they're basically the same guy. They're both right-handed. They're both the utility guy that plays every position. You don't really need 2 of those guys. So if that's going to allow somebody like Andy Pages to get more run, which Dave said he's going to get more runway, Chris Taylor is going to be the one that's going to have to probably drop off on that.
We went 15 minutes before we mentioned the name Andy Pages.
I know, that's way too long. I was trying to find that sliver in there with it.
No, that was a good segue. I mean, this whole bottom of the lineup talk, and now it's like, you don't want to go as far as to say is the savior here, but there is a what was the word? I mean, it's good. It's good that he's here. I mean, the Dodgers, it's just kind of a surprise that he got brought up because of, his injury history and everything, but he has just proved everybody wrong in the minors, and he's been slugging the hell out of the ball. So is this the guy that they needed? Marcus, we'll start with you. I mean, he went 1 for 4 last night, but he looked promising.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice shot in the arm, right? Especially because it's become very apparent that the Dodgers are not going to play James Outman against left-handed pitching, which is very funny because it seemed like at the start of the year, Dave Roberts was like, he's not a platoon guy. And now
platoon.
Now he's like, he's never going to play against lefties. So obviously he is a platoon guy. You mentioned Kike not really hitting at this point. So if Pages can come up and at least give them a shot in the arm, give them a guy that they can trust against left-handed pitching, that's going to hit a little bit, then I think that's what they want. But I think it's funny because we, into spring training, we all sat here and we're like, well, it may be a while before we see Pages, right? Like they sent him to AAA. It might be a while before we see him, and by a while we meant like tax day. So, like we'll see what this means long term. But I think the fact that he, drove in a run, had an RBI single in the very first pitch he saw, I think it was. Yeah. That's a very encouraging sign, and hopefully that kind of gets the ball rolling there.
If you want to put that in perspective, he swung at the first pitch, got a hit, and tied Chris Taylor in hits on the Dodgers. That's all it took. It took one single pitch to tie Chris Taylor in hits, which I think is very funny. But also, I don't know, it kind of did give that shot in the arm. And now then after he got that hit, the bottom of the lineup actually started to produce. Miguel Rojas was getting hits and getting on base. Austin Barnes actually looked pretty good at the plate for the first time in maybe 3 or 4 years.
He's had a decent start to his season.
Yes, he has.
Granted, he's not going to play a lot. He's not going to get a ton of at bats, but no. He's swung the bat pretty well for the opportunities he's had this year.
And he's hitting the ball hard too, so that's what it's nice to see, that he's getting the ball to the warning track. Yeah. I think those are important things. But look, if that's what he's going to do, if he's going to come in once a week and he's going to get a hit, maybe some RBIs, 2 hits, whatever it happens to be, that's more than enough for a backup catcher. So when we were talking in spring training about how backup catcher could be a little bit of an issue, if he can just do that and just do it just regularly and be on base, totally fine with all of that. Don't be a dead spot in the lineup. Don't be Chris Taylor. Don't be Gavin Lux. I mean, those guys are the ones that are having the most problems. So it was interesting. Last night's lineup just in general was interesting to go. You put Teoscar, who's kind of starting to fade off a little bit. It was no way he could keep up the pace that he put it this way. Teoscar, he had a bad game, but he had 2 RBIs because that's what he needed to do. Like that one hit at the end of the game was just a little bouncer that went 20 feet.
It didn't go anywhere, right? It's like a swinging bunt.
It's like he might have touched the plate,
right? And he also had a sac fly, so he had a couple more RBIs, which is fantastic. But it was the top 3, then Teoscar, and then it was Kike, and then it was Taylor, and then Pages, and then I think I'm missing someone in here somewhere. But then Rojas, I'm missing and somebody. Barnesy. And then Barnesy, was that the whole way through? Did I get all 9? I don't know. Either way, you put Pages into a situation where he has nobody that can hit around him.
Gosh, yeah.
But which is fine. I mean, they got the win, and the bottom lineup absolutely produced. It was nice to see.
Yeah, and on top of his performance at the plate, I mean, for Pages, we're speaking, he looked good on the field too. I know that he's shed like a lot of pounds since his injury. Not a lot, but he shed a good amount of pounds and kind of has slimmed down. He's more of a all-around player, I think. Dave Roberts was calling him just like a 5 tool he's kind of becoming. So it's great to see that not only while Hayward is out, that you're not really losing that fielding, and Outman, of course, is a great fielder as well. But it's good to see that you're not losing that fielding.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing. I mean, like, it's one thing if you're not hitting, you can't not hit and play bad defense. Like, it's got to be one or the other, So at least defensively, I think this team is going to be okay. It's just it's funny because it feels a far cry from the start of the season where we're like, hey, how many times in a row can they score 5 or more runs? And now we're like, can they get to 5 runs every day? Like, it's been a little bit more of a struggle there. And I have to keep telling myself, I was saying this yesterday, I'm like driving around and I'm like, it's only April. It's only mid-April. Like, there's so much more time to go. And I know that, part of what we're doing here is sort of breaking down all the little things here, but I'm like, stop, breathe. They're 12-8. They're leading the division. It's April. There's so much more season to go. And as you always talk about, Greg, I mean, the roster as it looks now is not going to be the roster as it looks when we get to September and October. So it's just like, every so often it's good to sort of, step back and see the forest, despite the trees.
Yeah, see that it's only 20 games. But this is what it is. So like, for me and Parker, I've been doing Blue Review for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. And for Parker, he did it last year as well too. So for you, you're just getting into it and having to talk about it every single game and watch every single game and as many pitches as humanly possible. You start to get a little frustrated when things like Gavin Lux like boots a ball or can't get a hit or pops up when the bases are loaded or whatever it happens to be. And then you have to, like you said, drive around and go 20 games.
20 games. No, I'll say here's the thing. And this is, I mean, I think it speaks to what this season's going to be like, but also just general fandom. I have this weird thing where when every Dodger game starts, I know how good this team is, right? I know how good this lineup is, but every game starts, and my first thought is, please don't get no hit today. Like, please don't get no hit today. You know, so when they get that first hit, I'm like, all right, okay, maybe they lose, but they didn't get no hit. Like, it's a weird. I know it's not rational, but it's just this weird thing that goes through my head when the game starts every single day.
See, I have a villain. You have irrational thoughts on the beginning of the game. See, we all have something. Just it's not weird. It's a totally normal thing to do.
Totally normal thing.
Yeah, not at all. But you know, Marcus, and real quick, we'll kind of close out here. You mentioned, you know, it's early, and the roster that we see now is not going to be the roster. There's going to be changes, you know, moving forward, getting close to the playoffs, but there already were some roster moves in terms of young guys getting called up. So we saw Andy Pages last night, and today, I think at noon, we got a lovely noon baseball game today. We're gonna see Landon Knack make his debut, the right-hander coming up from the OKC. So I mean, looking at his stats from last year's minors, he was 5-1, and we've kind of seen him a little bit in spring training and everything. And I think he hasn't really done anything with the Dodgers just yet, has he, Greg?
No, I mean, I haven't seen him yet. No,
spring training maybe.
Yeah. This is his debut, and it's just to see, like, it's to push everything back once again, so that Yamamoto can pitch later than like on his normal rest, including Japan. So it's just to kind of push everything back. We have Yamamoto's pitching Friday, I believe, and then they have not said who's pitching on Saturday and Sunday yet. So it's just. It's almost, you had a bullpen game yesterday. You bring somebody up from AAA. You're just trying to get through the time that Bobby Miller is on the IL and before Walker Buehler comes up. They're just kind of piecemealing it. But Landon Knack is one of the top prospects for the Dodgers in their minor league system. So it'd be really nice to see what he does today. If he pitches well, it could be another situation like Bobby Miller had, where he came up and he just didn't leave.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Like, I will admit, I don't know a ton about Landon Knack, but I'm very curious to kind of watch him, see what he has to offer, see what what there is out there. So, be very keeping a close eye on what this start looks like today.
Oh, and now Parker's gone, so that didn't take long for you to be gone. All right, so either way, it is LA. I don't think we said that. Blue Review is brought to you by LAX, and Blue Review is presented by LAX at Los Angeles International Airport. Changes are arriving daily to reduce traffic, save guest time, and transform the travel experience. Info at flylax.com/transforminglax. And that's going to do it so we can get to Travis and Sliwa. Marcus, thanks as always for being on. Tomorrow, by the way, we're going to have Doug McCain from Dodgers Nation on with us as well. So that'll be a fun one to have on. He's a really, really smart dude. And for Parker Bell, Marcus Grant, Greg Bergman, we'll see you tomorrow.